I overheard my husband and MIL discussing giving one of our twins to my infertile SIL as a birthday gift, so I ghosted him, filed for divorce, and relocated to a distant location to safeguard my children. I, 28F, and my spouse Mike, 30M, have been in a wonderful relationship for about 6 years. We met when I initially started at my job, and because he had more experience than me, he was a huge help. Mike realized right away that I wasn't from a good background. I had to battle for what I wanted and work odd jobs to save money for myself. My parents were both drug addicts who rarely looked after me. As a result, when I went to college, I moved away, severed ties, and never returned. They would sometimes try to contact me if they needed money, so I changed my phone number and address several times. When I first started working with Mike, he was quite friendly and sweet to me. I remember once wearing a blouse to work that had 2 small holes that I hadn't noticed, but Mike discovered them and got me a new shirt to change into, so that our co-workers wouldn't find out. When it rained or snowed, he would pick me up from my house, even though it was over an hour away, because he knew I had to walk a long distance to get to the bus stop. I used to skip lunch on occasion, not only to save money, but also because I never had enough food to eat 3 complete meals a day growing up. So it had become a habit. As an adult, however, Mike would always bring me lunch and insist on eating with me to ensure that I was well fed. As I previously stated, my husband was lovely to me, and I quickly fell in love with him. The only thorn in our relationship was his family. For perspective, Mike comes from an extremely wealthy family, the type of family that owns numerous cars, a vacation home, and takes cruise vacations during the summer. He and his sister attended a private school and never had to worry about paying for anything themselves. In fact, his father has told him multiple times that he shouldn't bother working because the money they have will set him up for life. But Mike says that he enjoys his profession and wants to live life with a purpose. When Mike first introduced me to his family, he warned me that they could be chilly and unwelcoming, but that they would gradually warm up to me. I went to meet them for the first time with this in mind. I dressed in my best dress and heels, and made an effort to present myself in the most polite and respectful manner possible. His father welcomed me politely, but his mother didn't even shake my hand. His sister, Kayla, sneered at me as if I were a clown. I felt humiliated, but I remembered what Mike had told me and let it go. Throughout the evening, I tried to participate in conversation and express genuine interest in their lives and interests. I complimented his mother's food and admired his father's home and art collection. However, every time I mentioned something positive about his paintings, his mother would scoff and say something like, "As if someone like you would know anything about art." Now, I grew up poor, but that didn't mean I wasn't interested in art, so her words affected me deeply. Mike would occasionally grasp my hand, imploring me to remain calm. When it was time for dinner, his mother requested that I sit away from Mike because she and Kayla preferred to be near him. I sat next to Phil, and he was quite open-minded and kind, so we had a great talk. Throughout the evening, Kayla and Mail adored Mike while utterly ignoring me. The 3 of them were having discussions with one another. Kayla knowingly began talking about one of Mike's ex-partners, with whom she remained close. She mentioned that the ex is allegedly looking the best she has ever looked, and began showing Mike photos of that girl in bikinis from their previous trip. Mike implored his sister to stop, but Kayla chuckled at his discomfort and informed him that he could always sneak into the ex's DMs if he wanted, because she still has a soft spot for him. I was becoming increasingly uncomfortable, and I'm guessing Phil noticed as well, so he requested Kayla to stop talking. However, his efforts were greeted with resistance from Mike's mother, who appeared to be offended by his intervention. I was so uncomfortable with their entire family dynamic that when Mike excused himself from the meal and invited me to accompany him to show me his childhood room, I was relieved to be out of the unpleasant scenario. I accompanied Mike out of the dining room and up the stairs to his childhood home. Later, in his room, Mike apologized to me for his sister. He informed me that she had always been this way, even when they were kids, and would always pressure him to date one of her friends, telling him that he should marry someone only she felt comfortable. I could tell he was sincerely sorry, so I let it go and told him it was best that we go. He agreed. Mike's father approached me later as we were saying our goodbyes. His attitude softened, and he revealed that while he was first wary of me, my honesty and efforts to connect had won him over. He apologized for his initial coldness and informed me that I was welcome in their home at any moment. He advised me not to take Mills and Kayla's words too seriously, and that he was glad Mike had met someone like me. I was relieved after hearing those remarks. Since then, I've known that impressing my MIL and CL would require a significant amount of effort on my part if I ever wanted to be accepted by them. However, the situation remained unchanged. Mike's mother and sister repeatedly discouraged him from dating me as our relationship grew. Mike and I were meant to take a long trip to the beach for my birthday and have a a romantic lunch there. I was very excited to spend the day with him. However, in the morning, his sister called and told him that she needed to see him right away since something had happened to her. He informed me, and I immediately requested that he go see her because we truly believed her. However, it turns out she had merely called him a hoax, and there was nothing urgent. She insisted on him remaining for the day, and when he refused, claiming it was my birthday and he wanted to spend it with me, she laughed and told him that was exactly why she had called him, to give him a reason not to spend the day with me. Mike was so upset that he stopped talking to her for months after. His sister would then text me aggressive, calling me various things and threatening to murder me because I was getting in between her and her brother. Of course, I would show Mike these texts, which would make him even angry. Mike finally agreed to forgive Kayla later that year, at Christmas, when Emile interfered. However, she never apologized to me for the harassment. When Kayla married her then boyfriend Joe at a young age, she declined to invite me to her wedding, informing Mike that he may attend the event solo and meet some of her acquaintances. Mike refused to attend without me, so she had no choice but to add me to the wedding guest list. I donned a lovely pink floor-length dress that Mike and I had chosen for me because this was a formal affair, and we were all expected to dress appropriately. He did tell me how stunning I looked, and numerous other attendees, including Phil, complimented me at my CIL's gathering. Kayla later approached me, claiming that I had wrecked her wedding by upstaging her, despite the fact that other attendees wore floor-length skirts. She raged at me and Mike, accusing me of purposefully dressing in that manner to attract all the male attention. Mike tried to calm her down, telling her it was not our objective, but Kayla refused to listen. She became even nastier to me after that occurrence. Mile and Seal have insulted my appearance over the years, telling me that I look poor, calling me a fat pig when I gained a few pounds, making fun of me and my family background in front of their family friends, and have never changed their dislike for me, no matter how polite I have tried to be. As a result, by the 4th year of my relationship with Mike, I had given up on trying complete because their behaviour was beginning to impact my self-confidence, and there were only so many shots I could take about my appearance. I had a lengthy chat with Mike and set my foot down. I stopped attending Mike's family meals and gatherings, and I stopped responding to messages from my sister-in-law and mother-in-law. I ignored them just as they had ignored me throughout the years, and my mental health improved dramatically. Mike understood and supported my decision, despite Mill's claims that I was being disrespectful by not visiting them anymore and that I was not wifely enough to marry. Regardless of what his family felt, Mike proposed to me last year. The proposal was an expression of sheer excitement and love. He had planned everything for the day and was really nervous when he asked the question. I had no doubts when I told him yes. Later, when he told his family about it, his father complimented us, while his mother just told him that she hoped he had given it a lot of thought. Otherwise, he would regret it. Mike implored her not to be harsh because she was on speaker, and she reluctantly congratulated me. I suppose she ultimately understood that she had no option and that I would be a part of her son's life going forward. Kayla reacted considerably more strongly when she learned the truth. She allegedly informed Mike that he needs to acquire a prenup with me, describing how poor individuals like me can suck money out of anyone. That was not only disrespectful, but it also startled Mike to learn how little his sister thought of me. He told her clearly that if she didn't like the fact that he was marrying me, she could choose not to attend. Kayla and he fought some more, and Kayla called me a bloodthirsty gold seeker. However, 2 days later, she texted me an apology for everything, and I assumed she and Emile had spoken and realised there was nothing she could say or do at this time to keep her brother away from me. I did tell Mike that I would be willing to sign a prenuptial agreement before we married because I wasn't marrying him for money. I was marrying him because he was kind and supportive of me, which is all I had ever wanted in my life. I had a nice career and was content with what I had, so I did not need anything else from him. Mike assured me that he knew my heart and would never ask me to sign a prenup. As the wedding approached, I wanted to look my best, so I began working out regularly. I would occasionally share after-gym selfies on social media, and they were completely acceptable photos. I never shared any racy photos. However, one weekend, Mike returned home from his family dinner and told me that Kayla and his mother had warned him that I must be cheating on him since I was willfully uploading all these photographs to attract the attention of other men. He went on to describe how he stood up for me and that he didn't mind the images, but Kayla informed him that this is how women begin to cheat on their husbands, which made him think. He asked me directly whether I was cheating on him, and I was taken aback. I firmly answered no, and I was actually outraged that he would ask me such a question. He began to apologize to me and explain how his sister and mother got into his head. He would never have questioned me otherwise. To provide some background, my account is private, and I have more female followers than male followers, so I'm still not sure why Mile and Kayla would say something like that to Mike. During the wedding, Mill and Kayla did everything they could to provoke additional problems. Kayla continued claiming she wanted to be a bridesmaid, but I rejected her outright. So Mill called and chided me for not including Kayla, pointing out how horrible it would appear to the rest of the family. I pointed out to her that Kayla had never included me in her wedding party, but she said Kayla was going to be my CIL, so I had to invite her. Otherwise, she wouldn't pay for our wedding. This resulted in a massive battle. When I told Mike everything, he spoke with Phil, who assured us that the money was his and that MIL had no influence on our wedding. I can only imagine Mill's reaction when she realized her attempt to control our wedding preparations had failed. Our wedding took place following this, with no further incidents or obstruction from Phil and Mill. Mike and I are still together, and I believed everything was fine between us. However, something happened recently that has caused me to doubt everything. I never imagined I'd find myself in this circumstance. It all began 3 months ago, when I discovered I was pregnant with twins. Mike was just as pleasantly delighted as I was. We were both full of excitement and joy. We had been trying for a baby since we were married, and the news that not just one but 2 tiny ones were on their way felt like a dream come true. Mike insisted on holding a family get-together to announce my pregnancy. Even though I preferred something low-key, I understood his joy about being a father, so I agreed. When Mike and I announced our pregnancy at the party, everyone came over to embrace and congratulate us. However, Seal and Miel appeared enraged and stared at me with daggers. Kayla got married before us, so she's been trying to conceive for a long time. However, Mike informed me that she is infertile and basically barren. She and her husband Joe have tried everything with no success. Mike, Joe and Phil have attempted to persuade Kayla to adopt if she wants children so badly, but she refuses to listen. She says she doesn't want to raise a street baby, so I'm guessing she was upset when she found out I was pregnant. I was aware of SIL's personal issues, which was one of the reasons I didn't want to make the announcement in front of everyone because, despite my relationship with her, I sympathized with her situation as a woman. When Mike's family began to inquire about the baby shower and whether we knew the baby's gender, Kayla fell into tears in front of everyone. She rushed into the restroom and shut herself in. As you may imagine, everyone's mood quickly deteriorated. Mike and Mill asked Kayla to unlock the door, but she refused. After 30 minutes of begging, Kayla emerged with red, puffy eyes. She stared at me squarely and told me that I should have spoken with her first before making the news because she couldn't have a child of her own. I attempted to explain that I never wanted to make her feel bad, but she disregarded me and left the party with Joe. Mael subsequently criticized me for being selfish and constantly thinking about myself without considering other people's feelings. Mike apologized to me after the party and informed me that he would speak with Mael and Kayla to ensure that they understood that this was entirely his idea and that he had no idea how much our announcement would affect his sister. I still felt sorry about Kayla, but my husband assured me that it was not my fault at all. The next weekend, when he went to his parents' house for dinner, I stayed behind as usual because I didn't want to be involved in his family chats. I'm not sure what they talked about, but Mike came home and told me how he ended up apologizing to Kayla since she was so wounded by everything. He described how Kayla had acknowledged the emotional toll of her challenges, including the innumerable medical tests and restless evenings spent in tears over the years. As he spoke, I couldn't help but feel a sense of remorse. Despite our disagreements, Kayla was still family, and the notion of her suffering weighed heavily on my conscience. I saw that beneath the hatred and animosity, there was a woman who was hurting and needed compassion. Mike informed me how I should contact her, and I agreed. I messaged Kayla and apologized for not informing her about my pregnancy before the party. I told her that I wanted to work things out between us before my twins were born so that we could start over as a family. Kayla surprised me with her warm and compassionate response. She thanked me for reaching out and recognized her involvement in our troubled relationship. She expressed real joy at my pregnancy and informed me that she wanted nothing more than to rebuild our relationship and be supportive at this special time. Kayla volunteered to hold a baby shower for me when the time came, explaining that she had never had the opportunity to do so for anyone else and would love to organize one for me. I graciously agreed. In the months leading up to the baby shower, I observed that Kayla and my mother-in-law were especially nice and sweet to me. They would call me on a regular basis, inquire about my health, and send me flowers with cards that said things like, "Hope Mama Bear is feeling okay," or "Can't wait to see the twins." It was certainly surprising and unsettling because, up until that point, our relationship had been strained to say the least. Kayla and my mother-in-law began acting entirely out of character, showering me with affection. It felt like an abrupt shift, and I couldn't escape the sense of unease that came with it. However, I suspected they were making an attempt to heal our relationship before the twins were born. I never imagined there was anything evil behind it. Despite my doubts, I attempted to stay hopeful, hoping that we were turning a fresh leaf as a family. Mike continued to join his family for supper every weekend, and everything appeared to be fine. On the day of my baby shower, I was surprised to learn that Kayla had genuinely taken all of my recommendations and kept them in mind while planning the event. The gathering exceeded my expectations, with friends and family gathered to celebrate our twins' impending arrival. Unlike normal baby showers, the males in the family were also asked to attend. Phil had brought several gifts for the twins. We were all having a great time playing baby shower games throughout the afternoon. Kayla was nice when interacting with the visitors and ensuring that everything went properly. In the middle of one of our games, I had to excuse myself to use the restroom. After I finished, I was just leaving the restroom when I heard my husband and Emile arguing in the hallway in hushed tones. Curiosity piqued, and I paused for a moment, trying to hear their remarks. They didn't realize I was listening. At first, I assumed it was simply harmless conversation, perhaps about baby names or nursery decor. But as I listened closer, my heart plummeted. Miel was asking my husband whether he had spoken with me about their plans for the twins. Mike requested that she lower her voice since someone could hear them, but Miel reminded him that the moment was approaching and he needed to man up and speak to me. Mike informed her that he was working on it and that it was not an easy topic to tackle. Miel then informed him that he needed to have this conversation before the twins were born, otherwise they wouldn't be able to give Kayla one of the twins in time for her 27th birthday. She told him that he had already accepted Sael's requests and had no way out because she had been looking forward to having a child for months. My eyes widened in surprise as I comprehended the bits of discussion I had overheard. My pulse raced with a mix of incredulity and mounting fear as the significance of their conversation became clear. The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. They were talking about giving one of our twins to my sister-in-law for her birthday. I couldn't believe what I heard. It felt like a hit in the gut. I remained there, frozen, as they continued to discuss their plans as if it were the most natural thing in the world. My mind raced with a million thoughts and feelings, including rage, hurt, grief, and most of all betrayal. I thought my husband, Miel, and Sil were delighted with our pregnancy and twins. But now I realize it was because of their twisted plan to give away one of our infants. I felt as if I no longer knew my husband. How could he have betrayed me like this? How could he possibly consider handing away our child? Our infants were not gifts to be passed on. They were our offspring, our flesh and blood. I waited patiently for them to conclude their chat, since I did not want to get caught, and then I carefully went out of the restroom. I was shaking with dread and wrath, but I kept it together as best I could in front of others. Since the baby shower, I've been trying to come up with a plan to get out of this position as quickly as possible. I cannot harm my twins in the future. This family is insane and I can't trust my husband anymore. I want to shout at him every time I see him, but I'm trying to pretend everything is fine so I can plan my escape. However, due to my pregnancy emotions, I am concerned that I will be the ass for abandoning my spouse without asking for an explanation. I'm fine with being a single, but should I give the father of my children a chance to explain himself before pulling the family? Update 1. We appreciate everyone's advice and suggestions. I read all of the comments and have made up my mind. I tell you that no one will ever take my baby away. I contacted my dearest friend of many years and requested her assistance. She is as surprised as I am that my husband would plan such an event with his family. She has volunteered to come and help me relocate my belongings so that I can stay with her while I file for divorce from my husband. Tonight is my last night at Mike's house, and I will depart tomorrow without a note or explanation since he does not deserve one. Update 2. It has been 2 weeks since my last update. I wanted to give everyone an update on what has happened since my last post. As I previously stated, I decided to file for divorce from Mike after overhearing his talk with his mother about their plan for our twins. It was a difficult decision, but I felt it was right for me and my children. My best buddy assisted me in gathering all of my possessions and leaving our house while Mike was at work. When I went out those doors, it was a difficult and emotional moment for me because I never dreamed I'd be leaving my husband. But I understand that I must prioritize the safety and well-being of myself and my unborn children. I've since filed for divorce. Even though Mike has tried to contact me several times, I have not blocked him because I want to be amicable with him until the divorce is finalized. Mike has sent me multiple text messages blaming me for betraying him and claiming that his family was correct all along, despite the fact that he is unaware that I overheard him with his mother. I haven't sent him any explanation since I know that no matter what I say, he and his family will try to gaslight and manipulate me. So for the time being, they may believe anything they want. The truth will be revealed during the divorce process. I've blocked Phil and MIL, though I feel a little awful about not returning Phil's calls. I'm not sure if he was part of this scheme or not, so I can't take any chances. I've spent the last few days crying, while my best buddy has sat by my side and never left. She has informed me that I am not a horrible mother for leaving such a man, and she has attempted to alleviate my guilt because I will be a single mother from now on. I aim to return to work as soon as possible. My best friend who works from home has agreed to babysit my twins when I return to work. However, I have insisted on paying her for her time, as babysitting twins will not be easy. I realise this isn't a sound plan, and I wish I had dependable parents that could assist me in this circumstance, but I don't. Also, my best friend will only help me look after the kids until I get divorced from Mike, at which point I will be able to employ a proper nanny with child support. I know it won't be easy, but I'm committed to providing a safe and caring environment for my twins. I am grateful for everyone's support and encouragement at this difficult time. Update 3. Hello to everyone. It has been 6 months since my previous update. A lot has transpired since then. First and foremost, I have already given birth and am now the proud mother of my darling twins, Jackson and Vinny. I was really apprehensive before giving birth, but the moment I held my lovely twins in my arms for the first time, all of my anxieties vanished. They are my everything, and I'm pleased I got them away from that horrible family. My divorce from Mike was formalised, and despite his pleas, he was not given custody of the children. During the process, he discovered why I had left him, and he was surprised that I had learned of his plot. He attempted to apologise and explain himself, telling me that he was compelled and pressured by his family every day and had no choice. But I was even more saddened by his timidity. It turned out that Phil knew everything, and despite his attempts to persuade Sil and Mael, no one listened to him. I am so appalled by this family that I have had no regrets about divorcing Mike. I did not request any alimony, but he has agreed to pay a substantial sum of child support, which will allow me to provide the best possible care for my children. Mael and CIL attempted to contact me and even showed up at the divorce procedures, screaming and swearing at me for taking the twins away from them. They told me that they could have supplied everything for my children and that I was a bad mother for being so selfish. Finally, they had to be restrained by the guards. I'm delighted they disgraced themselves publicly because it helped me obtain a restraining order against them. Mike has tried to stay in touch with me since the divorce, appealing for a chance to discuss and reconcile, but I will never trust him around my children again. I've been able to negotiate the obstacles of single parenthood in recent months, thanks to my best friend and a supportive network of friends and relatives. I recently decided to move out of the city entirely in order to give myself and my children a fresh start, away from Mike's family's poison and manipulation. I'm aware that if I continue to reside in the same city, they may attempt to contact my twins, which I do not want. With full custody of my twins, I have the ability to create a new life anywhere I want, and I intend to take advantage of that chance. Moving forward, I'll be focusing on myself and my babies. Therefore, there will be no more updates.